This started. All right, Aaron Cantu here with two-time heavyweight world title challenger Eric Drummer Boy Molina. Thanks for taking the time, Eric. I really appreciate it, man.
Yeah, no problem, man. I'm glad to make some time and join me today.
Eric, can you move the phone? I'm not picking up your audio too.
Yeah, how's
Uh,
that? How's
okay,
that?
yeah, that's better. I can hear you now. All right, Eric, for the people that don't know, you're currently serving a 2-year ban from the United Kingdom anti-doping panel for testing positive for dexamethasone by way of a supplement called, it's a Mexican supplement called Tribedose DX, and this all happened the day after you fought Anthony Joshua.
Yeah,
First of all, what is your side of the story, and why did it take so long for UCAD to actually hand you down a suspension?
yeah. Well, here's the deal, man. Um, for about a year and a half now, actually 2 years, I've been really quiet about this whole thing because UKAD. Um, I, Now the world is able to see a side of the UKAD that I've always explained to my close family and friends and my close people around me. Um, I've been in this game for 13 years now. I fought for the heavyweight title twice. I've been tested numerous times. I live on the border of Mexico. I live about 2, 3 miles. It is Mexican tradition and even other fighters' tradition to take B12 the week of the fights. This is something standardly done. This was introduced to me through many trainers. So when I was going to fight Joshua, they called me on 35-day notice, fly to London, fly for press release, fly back, open training camp. I didn't even have a trainer available to train me. The whole thing was scattered. I fought Joshua with no trainer. Um, I lost a day over there, a day there for press conference, a day to fly back, only to get ready in 15 days to fly back over there, which took another day. The whole thing, I'm not making excuses for the loss, but I will explain that has everything to do with as to why it's relevant for this case is that I sent my brother to Mexico to get the supplement. And the supplement that is B12, there's two on the shelf. I wish I had the boxes with me. One of them has dexamethasone, which is an anti-inflammatory. It's not performance enhancing. And the other box is just your standard B12. Both boxes are the same colors. They're the same. And I could actually send you the picture. Later on, I'll send you the picture of both boxes.
I think you
It's the
posted
same
it
thing.
on your Twitter,
Yeah,
correct?
yeah. Well, I posted the box. But if you were to see the box that does not have it, it's very similar boxes. The only thing that's different is one of them says with uh, dexamethasone DX. The other one is just straight. So, anyways, the boxes are the same brand, the same company, just the same colors. So my brother got that box by accident. He comes back. My brother's the one who puts the B12 in me for fights. So we think that it's the same box. And when they come back with this positive result, I'm like, what are you guys talking about? I've been in this game 13 years. I've been tested by Veda. I've been tested by WBC numerous times, and ever since the initial conversations with these guys, it's always been aggressive, trying to corner me, trying to harass me about them releasing this to the media, about me paying certain fines. Why am I going to pay fines? I'm sitting back watching Canelo get their anabolic steroids. I'm watching fighters over and over and over again get popped with anabolic steroids that fight for heavyweight world titles, that fight for titles within months. Why am I going to sit back and look at this anti-inflammatory case and want to pay $25,000 to get an appeal, to pay thousands of dollars for a lawyer? Why would I want to do that? It made no sense to me, and I didn't. I told them. They asked me. They asked me, send me everything. I said, I'll send you everything in my bag. I send them a picture of everything in my bag. It's in their report.
Yeah.
I didn't say no. I didn't take this. I send them everything in
You
my
admit,
bag.
yeah, you admitted that you took it, and so they ruled that you could not claim no fault and negligence because apparently it didn't apply to you because it wasn't a spiking or sabotage situation.
the same as the other box. Of
Yeah.
course it's a mistake. Of course it's a mistake. When I send you the picture of both boxes and you see that there's somebody in my team, of course it's a mistake.
And I think
Now,
there was a report
could've-
that UCAD actually admitted that you weren't knowingly taking it to gain a competitive edge, yet they still didn't lower your suspension because, yeah.
Now another thing is that and they had conversations saying, hey, we could hear an appeal and potentially we could lower it to 20 months or maybe a year and a half. And I said, why am I going to pay $25,000 for you to potentially treat me unfairly more? I said, absolutely not. I'm not paying you guys nothing. When I told them that, I said, I'm not paying you guys a penny, is when they pressed me harder. And then they started saying, well, you this is where it gets even funnier, is they said that I've been sparring and training, and because I've been sparring, they want to press me for 2 more years? I've never heard of anything like this.
Yeah.
But it's because I have refused to pay them 1 penny. You've never heard this in the history of boxing, of a fighter getting penalized for sparring. 2 more years? And the reason why is because you have a fighter here saying that they ain't going to get 1 penny from me. And I'm sitting back, and I'm watching Tyson Fury pay over $600,000 to get his backdated, you know. They took a year to penalize me 2 years.
Yeah.
Why don't you backdate mine? Because I'm not paying anything? You can't be a private organization working or contributing with the government, with government contributions, and run off money. You know, I've sat back and I've watched them do nothing for Billy Joe Saunders, who was in America getting ready to fight, who got popped for anabolic steroids, and they did nothing. He went back to UK and he fought in that December, which was less than 3 months. UKD did not even acknowledge her. They said they held an investigation, but he was allowed to fight in December. I've watched this happen over and over and over again. If they want to clean the sports up, they have to be consistent. Not because I'm not paying them $1, they got to drop the book on me. I'm a teacher. I work with special needs kids. And the way they slandered my name and every press release around the world said that I'm a ped cheat, it's not even a performance-enhancing drug. Where are they getting this stuff from? And they think they're going to corner me and threaten me to ban me 2 more years? Bring it on. Ban me for life because I think they're corrupt.
But they can't mandate whether you have the ability to fight in America. Obviously, you've had 3
Well,
fights
here's the thing.
since
I had to actually go to war and find that out for myself, because I had several fights in Poland where they tried to stop and said, "Hey, wait, he's banned from the UK." And so I finally reached out to the Texas commissions and the American boxing commissions, and they finally said, "Hey, we don't acknowledge UKAD in the same way that the UKAD don't acknowledge Billy Joe Saunders getting popped here and other."
Yeah, that's wild.
Here, it's like, come on. So I reach out to them and I tell my lawyer, how can they govern me from over there to here and want me to enforce all their rules when I'm living in America, when they don't even enforce their own fighters in their country
100%.
with their rules? It makes no sense. To me, I've sat back and I've stayed quiet about this way too long. And this frustrated my life for a year and a half. And it really took me to some dark places because I have people around my city and around my town. They look at me like a steroid cheat. And I've never, ever, not once committed any type of use anything. Look at my body type in all my fights.
Yeah.
I fight with everything I got. I had 2 jobs most of my career. I've never went in the ring just as a boxer. I've been a teacher. I've been a public servant for years. And for them to slander my name like that, of course, now that the world knows what I've always known about these guys, of course I'm going to be vocal about this. And that agency needs to be arrested. They need to be investigated. They need to be go in there and look at all their records and shut them down. They're not doing nothing good for the sport.
So Eric, let's get to this whole situation with Dillian White, man. As it pertains to your case and given the circumstances of how they handled your situation, let's take a look at this Dillian White situation, man. 3 days before the fight, he tests positive for a steroid. Obviously, something more.
Several anabolic. The key word is anabolic steroid.
So that's way more significant than anything that you got popped for. Not only did he not notify Oscar Rivas, but they did not notify the WBC Are we looking at a minimum 2 year ban at the very
No,
least?
because you're by the UKAD rules. That's a minimum ban. That's what they explained to me, and it's on their website. 2 years for your first offense, whether it's accidental or not, which is why they gave me 2 years. Okay. Now your second offense is minimum double what they give you your first year. If they determine even if it's accidental, and if it's anabolic steroids in your system, it's double of that. So he's looking at 4 to 8 years, and this is actually on their website, the UKAD. Look at their rules on there. This is something that these are their rules, and it's absolutely astonishing to me, mind-boggling how they have yet to say a word. And I'm going to tell you something, because I know this for a fact. In my opinion, is that somebody in that organization was not paid the right amount to stay quiet, and they spoke up to a journalist, and that journalist spilled the beans for all this stuff. And let me tell you something else, is that if that journalist and that person did not spill those beans, I believe that the world would have never found out about the Dylan White case. And furthermore, you have to question, this is not the first time that the UKD has done something like this. I believe that there's strings and strings of other athletes over there, especially in the heavyweight division, fighters that the whole world has already questioned, that you have to string to the UKAD. This is the most corrupt move ever done in sports.
Wow. That's amazing. And it's great perspective from somebody who was in the thick of it. And now you're seeing all the things coming to the forefront with Dillian White, man. Is there anything you have to say about this specific Dillian White case?
Man, I'm going to tell you this, is that it is not Dylan White's fault. It's not Eddie Earn's fault. Fighters fight, promoters promote. And I will give Dylan White the respect of a B sample, that who knows what could happen. But I will say this, is that agency has one job, is to clean the sport. When they have information of a positive anabolic steroid sample, that fight should not happen until further investigation. Period. There's nothing, and they know this, nothing that should change that. Period. And if they say there was no time, there's no excuse. Is that fight is halted. Here in America, when Billy Joe Saunders was popped, there was no hold on. Well, they opened the B sample, but it was done. Either way, the fight stopped.
Yeah.
And another thing is that, like I said, man, this is not. This has nothing to do with now you're put in a spot. Here's where it gets interesting, and here's why they're quiet. Is because now I'm gonna tell you what's gonna happen. You're gonna have Rivas people. They're gonna lawyer up, and they're gonna come after these guys. And the UKAD is the most quiet organization out of all this. You have Eddie Earn blaming the UKAD, rightfully so, because Eddie Earn is not he's not in charge of
they cleared his fighter, so he was obligated to.
So then you have a fighter that if they choose to ban him, what I said, 4 to 8 years, he could sue the UKAD for clearing him to fight that day.
Wow.
UKAD had that meeting before the fight, and they cleared him to fight. So you can't go back on that and say no, now we're going to penalize you 4 to 8 years. Well, then now he could sue them and say, well, then why'd you clear me that?
So they royally screwed it up, man.
Yeah, but well, think about it. If you're Dylan White, he could counter. He could sue the UKAD for them trying to ban him now. What has changed? They know all the same information. So he could, in essence, sue them for them clearing him and coming back and penalize him. So it's a sticky situation. But ultimately, it's the UKAD, and I'm so interested to know what other fighters are involved, because I know it just doesn't end with Dylan White.
Most definitely, man. This is just scratching the surface. Now, I just want to get your take on this last thing as far as the PED issue. Andy Ruiz and AJ are supposed to rematch, but Andy Ruiz is reluctant to take the fight in the UK. What would you advise him to do, given how you were treated there?
Man, I'm going to tell you right now, styles make fights. I believe that Andy Ruiz will beat him again anywhere. But I will say this. Eddie Earn's throwing around potential of the fight here in America absolutely will never happen. They want that fight in the UK. And they want it in the UK because the UKAD is in their side. You cannot look, man. I'm not going to mention no names with other fighters, but you can't look at other fighters in the heavyweight division from UK and not question the connections that they have with the UKAD. Dylan White is not the biggest fighter. Dylan White is not the biggest fighter in that country, and he could potentially control the UKAD like he did that week.
Yeah.
Imagine the other ones.
I understand. I understand exactly what you're saying, man. I understand exactly what you're saying.
That's the thing that the people need to open their eyes, and they need to make connections. These fighters, this message for the fighters in America, it's something that I've tried to reach out to as many as I can. Buyer beware when you go over there. And I'm not saying that the UK is going to taint them, but they're going to give a free pass to all their fighters. Yeah. And that is something that I've said for 2 years now. And now, and another thing is that you look at all the things, man, that these guys, is that the backdated, the redacted bans. You look at the backdate Fury's ban. Why not backdate mine? Look at everything that they've done. It's been money driven. It's been money driven. If you pay these guys, they do what you want them to do.
Yeah.
And who's got the most money over there? So you telling me he ain't gonna put them to work for him? Come on now.
Well, we've known historically in the sport that promoters have such a profound impact and influence on what these commissions rule under the table, behind the scenes. I mean, we can only speculate because we have so much information at our disposal, but it's just...
But sometimes, I get it, but sometimes you got to connect the dots when they're in front of you.
Yeah.
Everything that I'm saying are not opinions, they're facts. Is that you have an American here who got an anti-inflammatory... I got an email. Listen to this, man. I got an email 2 hours before the White case hit mainstream media. 2 hours from the UKAD. You mean to tell me that 2 hours before they knew that this shit was going to blow up, they're working on my case, on banning me 2 more years? That's the only thing that they could be working on right now? You mean to tell me that they had no knowledge that that case was going to hit mainstream media? They weren't planning on working on it. It was never going to be dealt with. I have an email, and it's official, sensitive email. You might have seen it, and it's mind-boggling to me when I'm sitting here watching it all pan out, where I have an email from the UKAD where they're pressing me for 2 more years for a sparring session, and they have this case. They have a positive drug test, but they're worried about me. That says enough about this organization. They need to be arrested. They need to be investigated. And I'm going to keep barking. I'm going to keep doing these interviews, whether they ban me for life or not, because fighters are dying in that ring, man.
Yeah, 100%.
These fighters in this sport, the heavyweight division, you get a 260, big guys beating each other. We don't need this in the sport. And what the UKAD did, they tried to pop me. And they try to plan it out to the world. Oh, look, we got a steroid cheat. We got one. He's on our website. Here's his case. We're doing our job. So
they try to use you as an example.
Yes. Yeah, we're doing our job. Look, we have the whole case. They're not doing their jobs. They're not doing their job. They're only corrupting the sport more.
Wow.
And it's not right. And what I'm telling you, man, is not opinions. They're facts.
Yes, sir.
I'm a fact guy. And so... it is what it is, and I'm not bitter about anything, bro. I will say I did fail the test.
Yes.
It was a mistake. But I want to be treated like everybody else. And I'm sitting back month after month after month of this ban, watching all this stuff go down, watching fighters get popped with anabolic steroids, and I'm sitting back in this ban, and they're fighting for world titles within months. Why?
So they get popped for something more significant. You got popped for something less, yet you get more restrictions, more...
No, and I get further for sparring. They want to punish me 2 more years.
Yeah, that's
for
wild.
Sparring session, man. Do your homework. I challenge you. Bring me a case where they've sparred a fighter for 2 years or further time for sparring. It's never happened. You will search the records to the end of time, and it was never been done. And this organization wants to do it to me because I haven't paid them 1 penny. That's why. It's easy to connect the dots.
Yeah, for sure. So last thing, Eric, being that you've been involved with UKAD and you've also been involved with VADA, being that you fought for the WBC title, would you say VADA is probably the most credible agency out there when it comes to anti-doping?
Let me tell you this, though. is that Lance Armstrong was tested over 500 times in 20-year span, never tested dirty. Beta testing, listen to this, because this is the fact. Beta testing is good when it's done random. What's going around this division in boxing, stuff can get out of your system within hours. These fighters know when to take it. If you know that there's beta testing on fight day, you won't take that stuff the day before the day of the fight. That's the way that works. So beta testing is only maximized when you hear about all these guys getting popped. They're popped through random testing throughout their training camps, not on fight day. It's never on fight day. So that don't let that beta testing fuzz your mind up a little bit. But beta testing on fight day, that's like pissing in the cup. You got to be really like me. I accidentally, it was literally an accident on mine, and they made it seem like I was a freaking bed cheat.
Yeah.
Okay, but the ped testing randomly beta throughout the camp is how you pop these fighters. That's how you get them. And from what I've read and researched and what I've heard from fighters, within hours,
it's out of their system. I've heard that too. That's wild.
Out of your system. So they lock themselves up in rooms. They separate them from society. They take this stuff at times of the night, and it's out of their system. Out, long gone. And whenever they do find it, it's little traces. It's little traces of it that didn't magically get all out of their system. And that's the cover-up of the sports. And that's what's going on.